All right, good evening. Are we rolling here, Joe? All right, good. We want to call the Monday, August 18th Select Board meeting to order. We have a quorum here now, and we got a fun program here for the first 15, 20 minutes. So first we got to have Chief Stevens come up and sit in this lovely chair up here. So we can say wonderful things about him. So we're going to start tonight with Chief Guy, who's going to present his retirement badge and some other fun things. So come on up, just have the podium.
So Chief Stevens, being able to replace you is an honor, as I've said to you before. You've spent 40 years in policing, led a great police department, have left them better than when you found them. And because of that, I think it's only admirable that you should be honored with all this here with the Select Board tonight. So on behalf of the Hamilton Police Department, for your service to the Hamilton town and the service to the Hamilton Police Department, I want to present you with your retirement badge because you've served more than honorably since 2009, retiring just recently in 2025 on June 30th. Congratulations on your retirement.
As is tradition with the police department, we give a shadow box to every retiring member. For those who are not aware of what the shadow box is, it's a collection of the memorabilia over the years of the officer and what he's attained and achieved. The tradition of the shadow box...
first we're going to have Chief Stevens come up and sit in this lovely chair up here.
It comes from the...
We can say wonderful things about him. So we're going to start tonight with Chief Guy, who's going to present his retirement badge and some other fun things. It's not down. Yeah, somebody was playing it back.
It was a playback.
Someone was playing it back. Someone was playing it back.
On YouTube, probably. Sorry about that.
So the tradition is when a sailor walks off the ship, they don't want to see their shadow. They want to step on land first. So they would get a shadow box filled with all their memorabilia and awards and personal belongings. So we present this to you as your shadow box and for good fortune and good luck in the future.
We're now honored to have Rep. Kasner come up.
Hello, it is my honor to be here. I moved to Hamilton in 2009, and it was the same year that Chief Stevens, I think you began here in Hamilton. And for the entire time I've been here as a resident, I've been so impressed with the community and the feel of the community, and just living downtown and just seeing all of us together, and the police department out, not, in situations of emergency, but also in Hamilton Town Day, and just really being a part of the community. And I really appreciate what you've done and what you've built, and built not only a really strong police force here, but a family here in Hamilton. And I just want to recognize you for that, as well as, a lot of public servants we don't get to thank you that often, so I'm really proud to be here. Thank you for your service in all these years, and especially in this role as I've become the state representative, and really introducing me to the issues of policing in Hamilton, but also Essex County. And I really, really deeply appreciate how you have helped me really understand the issues, but also convene all the chiefs together and convene people together to have the dialogue that we need to have to really understand and move issues forward. So I just wanted to really, I'm deeply grateful for that, especially that meeting we had here in Hamilton, and hope we can continue that with Chief Guy and as well as you, as you continue on in your other roles in Essex County Police. So with that, I want to present you with, actually, let me say something first. Senator Tarr does wish he was here. He has a medical emergency with an elder aunt that he cares for, and he wanted me to certainly share all of his appreciation for all the work you have done, and hopefully he will be here, and if not today, hopefully have a chance to present you as well. So with that, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, be it hereby known that the Massachusetts House of Representatives offers its sincerest congratulations to Chief Russell Stevens in recognition upon your retirement after serving the people of Hamilton for 15 years as Chief of Police. The entire membership extends its very best wishes and expresses the hope of good fortune and continued success in all of your endeavors. And this was on the 30th day of June 2025. So signed by Speaker of the House, Ron Mariano, and myself, Kristen Kasner. Let's go in front.
And I also want to echo what Rep. Kasner said, that Bruce Tarr wishes he was here, and hopefully he'll make it here tonight. But a big fan of yours and appreciate everything you did. From the Select Board, I want to say a few words, also give you a commendation. But as traditional in the Olson household, we do poems at memorable occasions. So wrote a little poem for you tonight, Chief. For almost 16 years in Hamilton, you stood tall and clear, a leader with vision, respected and without fear. Calm in the storm, with wisdom and grace, you made our town stronger, a safer place. You taught before punishing, built trust, not fear, and made sure our officers felt proud to serve here. Children waved gladly as cruisers drove by, because you brought kindness, not just a watchful eye. You built a true team with patience and care, guided promotions, hired talent so rare. With a common sense safety, you steadied the way and worked with all town departments to brighten each day. Though you lived beyond Hamilton, we always knew our town was your family, your priority too. Through trials and challenges, you never did stray. You never once staggered, you led the right way. So today we all thank you with pride and delight for 41 years of service, for leading with might. From the board and the town, our gratitude is clear. Chief Stevens, thank you for giving us an incredible career. So we also have a proclamation. I'm going to read it to you from the town of Hamilton. Whereas Police Chief Russell Stevens has served the town of Hamilton with dedication and professionalism for over 15 years as chief and 41 years in law enforcement overall. And whereas since beginning his tenure in 2009, Chief Stevens reorganized and modernized the Hamilton Police Department, including updating the rank structure, improving departmental policies, and earning Massachusetts Police accreditation 4 times, making Hamilton one of the first North Shore towns to receive this distinction. And whereas Chief Stevens will did retire on June 30th, 2025, leaving a legacy of excellence, community partnerships, and a strengthened department prepared for the future. And whereas the town of Hamilton expresses deep gratitude for Chief Stevens' unwavering commitment to public safety and public service. Now therefore be it resolved that the Hamilton Select Board honors Police Chief Russ Stevens for his exemplary service and leadership, extends best wishes for fulfilling retirement, and invites the community to celebrate his many contributions to Hamilton. In witness whereof, the Hamilton Select Board has hereunto set their hand and caused the seal of the town of Hamilton to be affixed this Monday, the 18th day of August, in the year 2025, in recognition of Chief Russell Stevens and in gratitude for his honorable service to the Hamilton community. Thank you.
Should come over here.
And lastly, the town would like to present you with a gift, so I'm not sure if I'm presenting the gift or, there it is, so, a lovely rocking chair. All right, so think of us in your, in your evenings.
Cozy.
Can I say a few words?
Please, we'd be honored.
So those of you who know me know I did. Christine! Can I get a picture with Christine before I leave, please? Those who know me know I did not want a retirement party. This is so much better for me and so much better. I don't need to be recognized for the work that all of you guys and the men and women in blue did. I am very thankful for the select board members I've worked for over the past almost 16 years. I'm very thankful for the town administrator, 2 town managers I've worked for over the past 16 years. They've been very supportive. Every board member, every town manager, and TA, I had one TA for a little bit, Candace, they've all been supportive of me. Every police officer has been supportive. I actually think when I tell you it's been a privilege to lead this department and to work for the people in Hamilton and to work with the officers, it truly has. I'm not saying that just because it sounds like the right thing to do. The best decision I ever made was to come to this town. The people in this town are so supportive. They're great people. I always tell citizens when they talk about what's Hamilton like to live in and to work in, drive down 1A on a Saturday afternoon in the summer and see the kids in the park, see the kids in the pool, and you'll know why Hamilton's a place to live. We've had police officers that have delivered babies in homes, and Mike Girolamo was one of them, Karen Wallace was another. You get a call if your smoke detector's chirping at 3 in the morning, we'll come and change your battery. That's the kind of police department we have. I'm very fortunate that Joe has let me do the changes in the rank structure. Joe has allowed me to make advances within the department, and Joe allowed me to have a little bit of a part in selecting the next police chief, which was Eddie Guy. And I told the board before I would never turn over the reins to someone I don't think who can lead this department to the next level, and I know that Eddie will do that for you. Chief Guy will do that for you. I really just want to say I thank everyone that's here, because if you're here, that's important to me. I didn't need a big retirement party. The people in this room mean more to me, and you've supported me just as much as I've supported you. So I would like to thank all of you for allowing me to be your police chief for the 15-plus years that you allowed me to do it. And I really thank the citizens in this town, and I thank the board members, and I thank Joe, and I thank all of you for being here today. So thank you very much. I will miss you guys dearly. I won't say that we've already, myself, Scott Janes, and Steve Trepanier already started with the retirement breakfast. We've got one coming up this Thursday with the old guys. Each of us have a rocking chair. And I do thank each and every one of you. And I really thank my family, and especially my wife, Andrea, for being so supportive over the years. We've had a few calls in the middle of the night that we had to respond to. And, 41 years of missing Christmases or birthdays or holidays. She's been there for all of it, so I do thank her for that, too. And a great team of department heads, too. I don't want to leave any of the department heads out. I've been fortunate to work with some great department heads over the years, and working together as a team, it's been a great run. It really has been a great run. I'm really excited to hear about the promotions that Chief Guy is going to make, and I'll coin a phrase that retired Captain Jane says, change promotes growth. And as much as it was sad to see
Steve Trepanier retire, and it was sad to hear that Scott was retiring, and for me, it was okay, you know, and a change promotes growth, and I'm going to watch this department grow even farther, and Chief Guy is going to take it to the next level. So thank you very much, each and every one of you, thank you very much, truly from the heart. Thank you.
We're going to take like a 10-minute break so we can have some refreshments and talk and hang out. So we'll pause the meeting and we'll get back to it in a few minutes. to everybody. That was a great celebration and fun to recognize the hard work of Chief Stevens. All right, so at 7 o'clock, we're going to get to our board and committee openings. We have quite a few, so I'll read them all here. We have one opening for the Affordable Housing Trust, 2 openings for the Conservation Commission, 1 opening for the member of the Community Preservation Committee, for the Historic District Commission, part of that. 2 openings for the Finance and Advisory Committee. The Historic District Commission has 2 openings for 3-year terms, 2 openings for 2-year terms, and 1 must be a resident of the Historic District and 1 must be a resident realtor. We have 2 at-large openings for the Human Rights Commission and 1 opening for the Hamilton Wenham Cultural Council. This time of the meeting, we will do public comment. So anybody's welcome to come up and have public comment. We will recognize everybody for 3 minutes. Just give your name and your address, please.
All right, I'll go speak fast. There's a lot here. Tosh Blake, Sagamore Street, addressing ongoing board discussion of public comments policy. 4 quotes from case law provided by KP Law attorney Devin Braun, cited in packet sidebar bubbles DB4 and DB5 included with your materials. Quotes, moderator certainly may stop the speaker if his speech becomes irrelevant. Plainly, public bodies may confine their meetings to specified subject matter. Complaints made during public speaking must fall within the scope of the public body's jurisdiction. The public body may reasonably limit its speakers to proceed with the actual business before it. End quotes from KP Law. Mr. Domolowitz, town manager, on this matter repeatedly lied to the public and to the board, claiming on July 21st, timestamp 2 hours 11 minutes, that at agenda item public comment periods, quote, 2 or 3 speakers can get up and speak about something else totally unrelated and take up that time, and now you've not got anywhere more towards your goal of getting more input, unquote. In the context of Joe trying to sway the board to eliminate public comments at agenda items. Joe even lied to the board about his own act as he was doing it, claiming, quote, I'm not trying to lead you one way or the other, unquote. Joe's same false legal claim was repeated by him on August 4th during that board meeting. Timestamp 1 hour 18 minutes, quote, what we used to have on the agenda was not legally defensible. We weren't supposed to be doing it, unquote. This stance was reiterated immediately after that meeting to me personally by Joe and by Mr. Olson after I questioned them. The town manager's claim, backed by Mr. Olson, possibly in mutual collusion, is completely false. The chair legally can enforce adherence to relevant topic categories, according to KP Law packet quotes I cited. The traditional comments period separation, allowing for, later in the meeting, on-topic, focused public comments at agenda items, is far superior to ad hoc or total, as is being done right now, censoring of those timely public comments aired immediately after board discussion of the item. Joe's false public comments legality claim, with his intent to suppress the speech of Hamilton residents, is the second of at least 2 different blatant lies he made to the public and to the board recently. The other one relating to his denial about wanting to advise the select board to sell off the Winthrop School property. Unrelated to all that, there was also apparently an impropriety involving Joe regarding his communication with the KP Law, which was vaguely discussed at the August 13th Select Board workshop. Timestamp 1 hour 36 minutes. I would like to discourage Joe from continuing as town manager of Hamilton. He cannot be trusted with the town's business given his demonstrated conduct. At the very least, should the board contemplate keeping Mr. Domolowitz on as a town employee, I ask that the board take my allegations seriously and publicly address them at some point. Thank you.
Beth Herr, Asbury Street. I know you guys have said, thank you for the eye contact, Ben. I was going to actually ask, and all I can do is ask, but I think it's important that as people are sharing, if you're listening to people, that you actually are looking at them and it actually seems like you're paying attention. So I appreciate Ben looking over here at me. I think public engagement is important. I just wanted to say that I haven't followed all the conversations this summer, as I actually had some summer after all the town meetings. I did say to Ben, I kind of suggest that we take a vote and never have town meetings in summer again. I'm sure we can get 100% agreement in town on that topic. The other thing I wanted to say was I think we need to have a time and a place to respond where we get responses back from emails and questions that may come up during public comment, because I know on July 8th and then again on August 2nd, I sent an email to the select board. I did hear back from Joe on one of the questions, but it was regarding when the select board and who on the select board knew that there was going to be a 50% vote, that was an option. And now we're having a 50% vote on the school on September 15th. Many people still don't know it. I run into people all the time that have no idea. But I would like to know who authorized Joe to do it. I would like to know when people knew about it. Did the whole select board know about it at the same time? Did you know about it before the June 9th vote? And if you did, was there a reason why that did not get disclosed to the public? Was that discussed in an executive session? There's a lot of questions I had regarding that, and I think that's important for us to be able to have that on the table. I also have a question on whether we have a grid for which you filter things, like the 911 going regional. It's only $83 a citizen to keep it. I've heard it suggested that we either use the meal tax, or I'm also thinking that the seminary is going to be bringing in some more income. So I'm very concerned about 911 going regional, because my understanding is once we give it up, we cannot go back to local 911. So I would urge the select board to be very careful on that. Lots on social media. I don't think I've seen one person, maybe one, but everybody else is against going regional. I heard a story about someone in Essex. The regional couldn't get, the daughter stopped breathing. They couldn't get the ambulance there in time because they got the wrong directions, because they have a regional 911, and the person had to drive the daughter to the hospital. Luckily, she was okay. But we have people's lives at risk. So I'm very concerned about us jumping in there. And then I think, the other thing is, I'll send you. Can I just finish on my last thing? I have a grid that I got off of a town warrant for another town that has a list of questions that I think would be a great addition to our town warrant, but also a great addition for the select board to run through when they're making decisions, that they have a list of questions that they're asking that we know are being asked every time, like the cost savings, but also what are some of the other positives and negatives of it, because I don't think there's a systematic way we're doing it. Thank you for your time.
Good evening. Rick Mitchell, 36 Rock Maple Avenue. I wanted to speak to you about an item on your agenda tonight, Gordon Theological Seminary development agreement and the draft bylaw developed by the planning board. A couple of key things in consideration or being considered. As I understand in reading the proposed bylaw and memos that are being shared across the table, is that the seminary would like to have a conservation restriction on the middle portion of the property, while the planning board had indicated in a memo from Marnie Crouch, who's the chair of the planning board, they would like to have a conservation restriction on the heritage area, which is an unbuildable slope. I support that. The middle area is an eminently developable parcel that, if is developed, would yield substantial tax revenue to the town. Second, within the development agreement, draft development agreement, is a proposed payment to the town of $200,000 upon sale of the lower campus, which involves the 109 units of student housing to become market rate rental property. Based on the Abramson report, finished in April 20th, 2023, looking at the entire property and valuing both the upper, lower, and middle campus development opportunities, including the student housing, the total potential value, developable value, was estimated somewhere between $50 and $60 million. For the lower campus, in 2023, it was valued at $16,300,000. Today, it's closer to $20 million. That's just the value of the house, the land, and the units. $200,000 is woefully inadequate for conveying potential $50 to $60 million and a defined $20 million for the lower campus that they already have a potential offer for. So I urge that in any development agreement that we get a much more substantial contribution. This is not extortion. We're granting them potential value of $50 to $60 million of development. The town should get, since it hasn't gotten for over 20 years, any pilot in lieu of payment that it was agreed to by prior administration. Finally, these discussions, and I speak as a former member of the planning board and intimately involved in discussions and negotiations with the seminary on this very topic. Over the last 7 years, good faith between the town manager and the planning board has invested hundreds of hours of trying to develop a comprehensive plan that would protect both the town and provide the seminary real value for its for its land, has repeatedly waffled, vacillated, and actually turned around, despite having confirmed that they were ready to make a deal or close to ready to make a deal, have turned around and said, nope, we don't want to do that. So I urge great caution, and nothing should be assumed unless and until you have it in writing. So that's my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
John Despic, Woodbury Street. I would like to absolutely and forcefully echo Rick's comments. This seminary, these so-called Christians, are in debt to our town for millions and millions and millions of dollars, and I feel that the planning board and perhaps the select board are letting this issue slide by. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Nobody on Zoom. Nobody on Zoom? Okay. All right, so we do have that on our agenda tonight. We will get to that discussion on Gordon Conwell. We're going to start tonight with the appointment, they approve the appointment of Kim, actually, sorry, I missed this. We got consent agenda. We have three things on the consent agenda. Two have happened yearly or annually. The first one is the 14th annual Coast to the Cure ride on September 6th, 2025, and the second one is the annual Tour de Greenbelt ride, which is September 20th, 2025. And then we have minutes from August 4th.
I'd like to hold the minutes from August 4th.
Okay.
I've just now had a chance to review and go everything
Okay,
through.
and hold that. So I have a motion to approve the ride for the Coast to the Cure ride and the Greenbelt ride.
So moved.
Have a second? Second. Any further discussion or questions? Anybody here to talk about either of those, Joe, or not because they're annual? Okay.
No.
All right, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Second item on the agenda is Corinne Kale talking about the annual appointment of election workers.
You're not gonna do Kim Powell?
Kim first.
Kim Dito appointment?
Oh, sorry, yeah, sorry. I'm jumping all over the place tonight. Yeah, Kim Dito for the Hamilton Wenham Cultural Council.
I don't,
So
unless she's
discuss
on
and
the-
vote.
I don't know if she's on there, but
So
I know Cindy told her.
Kim, are you on the call? Wish to say hello? All right, so we have a recommendation?
There, in the package, there's a recommendation from the current chair of the Hamilton Wenham Cultural Council, asking the board to support the appointment of Kim.
So we'll take a motion that we can have further discussion, but do I have a motion to approve the appointment of Kim Dito to the Hamilton Wenham Cultural Council?
Yes, I move that we approve Kim Dito to the Hamilton Wenham Cultural Council.
And do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
Just that, seems that Kim has been very involved in a lot of town activities over the years.
Yeah, I mean, I think I read 20 years I think around 20 years of a resident of Hamilton, and wrote a nice letter. But yeah, no, we welcome, as we see, we have a lot of open positions, so thank you for volunteering. Can we do a vote? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Public, no, now we go, it's, I already crossed that one off, I'll go back to it. Corinne Cal, come on up.
Corinne Kale, Town Clerk, 36 Rock Maple Ave. Good to see everybody tonight. You have in the packet a letter from me, a memo from me regarding the appointment of election workers. It's a requirement by law that I do this every year, and prior to stepping up here with the list of the 41 names that you have on that list, I am required to reach out to both the Republican Town Committee and the Democratic Town Committee, which I did. Some years they get back to me with a name or two, and some years they don't, and I did not hear back from either this year. But again, that's not unusual. So you have the list in front of you, and it's for a one-year appointment starting, what did I say, September 1st, 2025, just in time for a September 15th election. Any questions?
On this list, have we for us in elections before most of them, some of them, how is that?
I'd say most of them. Some of them, they come to me, you know, it's been the tradition. I get names from the committees, and then when I reach out to people to work, they either can't do it or they can't make the training. So some of them have yet to work at all, even though they've been on a list a while. But yeah, they've either I've either inherited some have stepped forward to volunteer, or some were recommended by the committees. So it's a combination.
And then how do you choose the final group of people who will actually work at a particular?
Yep, good question. I send out a survey to see who's available. That's where we usually start. And it is a little tricky, you know, like even for September 15th, a couple of my strong workers, they're not available. So you kind of got to keep going and work through who is available. And I literally just send it out, and Ann and I in my office take the puzzle pieces and see who's got experience in each of the roles as well. Because operating the poll pad at check-in is a little more complicated than just checking off a name in a book, so we're cognizant of that. And if need be, and we can't get anyone who's got the experience in that role, we do additional training.
You're required to get minimum amount of people from different parties, or is it just you
Yep.
reach out to so
No.
I thought before they were actually identified on the list, but that's not correct?
No, I haven't done that in my time. I mean, no, we're always, as clerks, responsible for keeping an eye on that. So yeah, I mean, here in Hamilton, we've got, 68.4% of our voters are unenrolled, which is a little higher than the statewide average of 63.6. And on the list of the poll workers, it's 63.4. So, we're not, kind of out of the norm in that number. And likewise with the other, with the parties as well. Yeah, we're pretty good on that.
Other questions?
Sorry, no, we're just getting some IT instructions. People can't hear us, I guess, online unless we talk right into the microphone. Now it's coming.
Yeah, all right. Oh, yeah, don't cover it up.
Great.
Flat.
Good
right, thank
questions. Anything else?
No?
Anything else?
No, that was very helpful to thank you.
Good, thank you.
Need a motion, please?
Make a motion to approve the list of proposed list of election workers.
Yes, do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Thank you.
All right, now we can get to the, so we've been talking about this for the last 3 or 4 meetings. We drafted up some things, we have a final draft, and we're going to look at the final public comment policy we're gonna discuss, and the plan was to vote tonight on it. So, I know that, that Bill Wilson was not able to come, but then Tom unfortunately had to, cancel last minute for some family conflicts, but I don't know if you've heard from
I
him.
did reach out to Tom
Okay.
and asked a very simple, straightforward question. Are you okay with us having the vote tonight? Back, yes.
Yeah.
That was it.
All right.
Good discussion.
This has been posted?
Just to your packets. That, I haven't posted it online. It's not-
Okay, online,
But
okay.
that's the final, after the final conversation and Rosie's edits to just like bring it together. That was what Rosie sent, and then I sent it back to you all.
Okay, and those edits, I just
I-
have a draft copy.
Yeah, that, so right next to you on your desk, I printed out a clean copy with all the edits
Yeah, I mean, right,
accepted.
the two copies are nice. One is the red line copy, and this is the final version that has everything
Okay.
incorporated into it. So they're the same text, but you can kind of see the history, look at the red line, but it's the same thing as this.
I didn't
yeah,
hear
okay.
back, so I presume
Yeah.
there was not a lot of concern about that. Okay, good.
No, I mean, I think we agreed last week, is that we said we were gonna reserve an hour for public comment during each meeting. We're gonna do a half an hour at the front, and then we're gonna weave in 30 minutes through the meeting based on discussion topics. And the goal was to do it orderly and organized, have people make a list, raise their hands, so we can make sure everybody gets recognized and gets their time, so. And our council has advised us that if someone's making a public comment and they have the time period, they can make a comment on whatever they want, whenever they want to do it, as we recognize them. So it doesn't have to be to the agenda item that we're talking about time. If they run out of time, they can talk about it later in the meeting, so. We cannot govern what they talk about. Once they're talking, we can only limit their time.
And one of the discussions we had maybe 6 or so weeks ago, I know we circle backwards on every time we meet right now, but one of the discussions we had maybe 6 or so weeks ago, we did ask a question around, we structured this with an intent, right? Based on the feedback that we have received from the public of them wanting to be able to come and speak to specific agenda items. So we structured this in a way that allows them to do that.
Right, we listened to our council, we listened to our public, and we tried to form a policy that made a lot of compromise.
Stay with me, so my point is, we asked the question of like, well, can we help try to steer people towards that intent? Are we allowed to give them any guidance even of, hey, we've structured this policy so that we can have, 30 minutes of general comment at the beginning if there's something, that's not on the agenda, or if something you want us to follow up on at another point in time, but then, we do have the time slots reserved after each agenda item, do we try to kind of help them know that's what that's for? It's not to kind of like go back onto a previous agenda item or back to general comments, but it seems like what we're being advised is that we cannot do that at all. So we're kind of just, that was the public kind of feedback that we got via email, as well as by comments here, of wanting to be able to speak to specific agenda items, but it seems like we're not able to actually limit that.
Correct, no, we can't give any instruction other than time.
Okay.
Time and point in the meeting to talk.
Okay.
But we talk about having a time clock here, just to give people the
I got it.
clarity, so we don't have to cut people off, because we don't like to cut people off, so
Try to have
let
one
them
before the
manage
next meeting.
themselves with the time clock. And then, and once the 30 minutes is gone up front, like once that's 30 minutes is gone, whether we use 10, whether we use 15 or 20, that 30 minutes is gone up front. So if we only use 20, we're still only reserving 30 minutes at the rest of the meeting. So we have an hour max, but it's not like you can yield the time later. We only talk 30 minutes up front, and then it's 30 minutes throughout the meeting. It's not 60 minutes over, it's not a running clock.
Okay.
Okay, that's how the policy's written.
All right.
And also, the research you've done, research I've done, is this is one of the most open policies of any town in any community we've talked to.
I think it's worth noting, that our council have kind of advised not to, right? I know we talked about it before, but we have a vote here, so our council had advised to only have the upfront comments. And I think the final edit here, that you, it sounds like, Rosemary, you collaborated on this final edit, having that discretion reserve the chair about the additional items, if we find ourselves in some.
We can extend, right, can extend beyond, right? We have 30 and 30, and we have the discretion.
You have the discretion whether to allow it.
We could go further than that, yes, correct. We can't cut it back from that, but we can go further than that. I'm always against a policy, right, so.
Well, the way I read this is at the discretion of the chair, additional time may be added, that you do or do not have to. So if there's a new chair who comes in and says, based on the way I want to run this agenda, that they can limit that they do not have to have this additional
30 and then 30, yep. We've only, I mean, I think only, so, in the 8 years I've been, we definitely have managed that. So I think it'll make for a more defined process, so we shouldn't have any issues. Rosemary, anything else?
I think it's very fair. It respects the will of the residents in this town. I know that we really value hearing from the residents, and very glad that we have a policy which will continue to allow for that, and we'll see how the vote goes.
All right, so do I have a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the public comment policy dated today, August 18, 2025.
Have a second? Second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, great. That was a lot of hard work, and I think it will be good, and like I said, it's a policy, and we're trying to make it better, continuous improvement, so we'll see how we continue to develop that.
And we thank everybody for their input in order to help us come to a fair policy that will continue to allow for the town.
All right, we'll move on to the next agenda item, which is review the proposed updates to EV charging fees. And then we'll discuss it, and we'll figure out when we're gonna need to vote on this thing, Joe.
Yeah, so you have in your packet a memo from Victoria Massoni, our energy manager. As you know, the select board had previously established rates for the 2 public EV charging stations that are on public grounds, the Town Hall and Patton Park. Of course, the one at Town Hall is currently not getting access because it is a construction zone. But more to the point, the increase in National Grid electricity rates has shown a need to increase the rates. The rates are laid out on the tables at the back of the memo for you. And the idea here is to just recapture what the town is spending on the electricity to charge people's cars. So the town will be subsidizing people charging their cars. It's a convenience for them, but they pay for the electricity.
And when we first voted on the rates, that was when they were brand new, correct? Or did we change it once already?
No,
They've
we
not
haven't
been changed.
haven't been changed, and it's important to note that, we were kind of making a best guess estimate based
Right.
on how much usage and what the rate was at the time. Just said the rate's gone up. And we didn't really know what what maintenance was gonna be required of them, so it was also breaking down the maintenance costs in that menu as well.
I don't think we're gonna lose any business with the rate change, correct? It's just to recuperate what we're investing.
Joe, is there a way to make this policy maybe slightly more dynamic so that, I don't know how often we have to change the rates, but it just would seem to make more sense to almost track the rates that we get.
Fees are set by the town select board, executive authority of the town. And I wouldn't really want to make any recommendation that we take that out of the select board's hands. I think it makes sense to review, as we do with most of our other fees, review periodically, determine if change needs to be made. We're very lucky that we have Vicki looking out for us. She keeps an eye on these things for us. She's the one that noticed the change in the fees and what it was doing to our budget, so she made the recommendation, drafted the number for us. So
Is there any risk of, presumably, we're not allowed to profit off of this, right?
you're gonna wanna set the rate at a level that, reasonably can estimate that you're gonna recapture what you spent, but you're not gonna do this as a.
Is there any risk of us overcharging people, I guess, and needing to find ways to repay them, or?
I think as long as we follow the process of making recommendations, the board considers it, and the board decides what to do, you'll have the best information each time you set the fees. But I know that sometimes there's a thought to streamline things, make things more efficient, like if there's a rate change at National Grid, the fee can automatically be adjusted by that rate change, but then again, it takes the actual authority out of the select board's hands, which is where it belongs.
Okay.
The intent was to revise it annually. It's been 2.5 years. Yeah, 2.5 years. So I think it's appropriate to do it now, but the question is, do we just make it an annual thing, just so we don't, so it's just a constant it'd be a special discussion, but we can just look at the rates, but, yeah, I don't have an issue with what we're, I mean, it makes sense what we're going to, it's not a huge, total cost, so. So we're not gonna vote tonight, but when you just vote by?
I think, given the fact that you're kind of losing money right now, it'd be best to do it in
Okay.
the next available meeting is September 8th, and meetings September 8th and September 22nd, so your choice of which of those meetings you want.
All right, we'll put on the agenda for the 8th and see if, how that meeting fills up. Okay. All right, next item on the agenda is the review proposal for overlay zoning and development agreement for Gordon, Conwell, and Browns Hill. Discuss possible special town meeting for November 2025. Looks like we have both Merwin, the attorney, for Gordon, and we have Marnie. Who else?
And Alex Wester.
Alex Wester represents the bar, okay. So, yeah, this is like, as you've heard tonight, sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, may I make a comment? Okay, so I can't help but feel this discussion is premature tonight for the following reasons. This Browns Hill Overlay District, while a proposal, a rough draft here was submitted by Chair Crouch of the Planning Board, this proposed overlay district has not been discussed at the Planning Board. Likewise, the development agreement, which was submitted to us in, again, a rough draft form several months ago, has not been reviewed by the committee the subcommittee that was charged with developing the development agreement. And so I'm just wondering, and I'm a little unsure why we're having a public discussion about this with something that is very much in draft form. There are several issues, for instance, on the overlay district regarding, for example, the GPOD. How does that entire issue be resolved? The heritage, landscaping conservation area, and finally the map. There's not a map with meets and bounds. So, any discussion we're going to have tonight is theoretical, and this whole process is supposed to have been between the seminary and particular members of the select board, myself being one of those people and the chair being the other. So I'm unsure as to why we're discussing this. It seems that members of Gordon Conwell are here, but we have not had a discussion that would bring a final rough draft, a draft that has some teeth that we've all agreed to. In fact, the overlay district was a product of discussion between Merwin and Marnie Crouch, but it was not discussed by Gordon Conwell and brought back to us, nor was it discussed by the planning board. So the planning board needs to have the development agreement done before it can consider the final draft product in the overlay district, and vice versa. We need to have the development agreement done before we can incorporate the proposal in the overlay district. So I think I would just like to understand myself why we're here discussing this when it's in such draft form.
Yeah, I mean, right. You are 100% correct, right? That's actually why we're discussing tonight, because we're trying to be transparent with the public, let them know where we're at with it, and then decide if we think we want to move this forward. If we want to do it in the fall, we wanted to look at when we could do it in the fall, and then see if we have enough time between now and a town hall meeting to do the work, right? So that's why we have everybody on the call to say, okay, if the seminary is interested in moving this thing forward and working under the premise of what we put out there for the agreement, we think it benefits the town, we're waiting for them to respond to us. So it's an opportunity for us to sort of be transparent to the town, tell them where we're at, show them what the documents look like, and then decide if we're gonna do it, is there enough time between now and then to finalize it? But they work hand in hand, right? There's two things, right? There's the overlay, and then there's the development agreement, right? They work hand in hand, right? Yes, one before the other, but we're gonna vote for them at the same time, at the same meeting, right? So they kind of work hand in hand. And based on the last meeting that we had, we felt that the town planning board and our subcommittee felt we had put some teeth in there for things that we felt protected the town from future development, future growth, and what that in a worst case scenario. So we've now given those documents to Merwin and the seminary to have them comment on it. Merwin's here tonight to kind of talk to us about a timeline, like if it's in their best interest to do this fall, what are they, how hard are they willing to work with us over the next 2 to 3 months? That's kind of that's the whole point. The whole point is, yes, we want to be transparent with the community, tell them where we're at, and what things look like, and get feedback.
Okay. It just seems a little irregular to be, and this is not a criticism toward you, Mr. Chair, in any way, shape, or form, but the process seems like it's disjointed. We should have had several meetings amongst the negotiating subcommittee, and then bring a more polished version back so that the entire public can have an opportunity to discuss it. Because I think that we're in sort of, well, maybe this, maybe that, and I don't think that does anybody any good except upset people, because there's something here that, and I'm not saying there's any particular thing, but maybe there's something here that perhaps abutters don't like, and I see a lot of abutters here, and maybe we haven't agreed to that. We haven't even discussed it. The planning board hasn't. So that's my point, that it may upset people before they know what the final overlay district is going to look
I
like.
think it would be more upsetting if we didn't have this meeting and we put something on them and through 2 months they hadn't seen before. So I'm more on the side of getting the input, having it be transparent. Nothing's been agreed to.
Okay, that's fine.
Nothing's been agreed to, right?
Okay, right.
We've given language back and forth to get comments, and
Right.
we know we have a lot of work to do. So the question is, do we really think we get it done by
Okay.
whatever meeting time we agree to? And if not, it doesn't
Right.
happen. But
Okay.
we also do want to, we've been talking about it for a long time, and it keeps changing. We also are interested of getting beyond this and doing the right thing.
Exactly.
And protecting the property from having something done to it that we can't control, right? So
Right.
it's advantage to us to sort of get a development agreement signed, if
Okay.
it's in the town's best interest.
Right, okay, well, thank you, Mr. Chair, that certainly clarifies things a lot. Everybody, I hope, heard that there's nothing at this point that we've bilaterally agreed to.
Yeah, so basically, the planning board writes the structure of it, but the select board will finalize the development agreement. The planning board's in charge of the overlay district, we're in charge of the development agreement, they work hand in hand, and we're kind of relying on their expertise to give us advice. So maybe it's a good time for the chair of the planning board to kind of tell us, if she's prepared to, talk about where you feel your review's at, and if you think Rosemary made the comment, polish, not polish. I'm hoping you're thinking it's farther along than it was portrayed, but let me get your opinion of where you think you're at planning board discussion on the overlay district.
Well, as Rosie pointed out, the overlay district depends upon answers to certain questions. So the planning board is quite adamant that we would like to see the heritage landscape incorporated into the overlay district. Similarly, to do an overlay district, we actually need a map, not a diagram, but an actual map with meets and bounds. The GPOD issue, which has been out there for quite a while, has to be resolved because the area of the wetlands is so significant that it can affect, the entire site. And then the other, and this more is to the development agreement, but I think it's very important, is what is the status of the apartments vis-a-vis the subsidized housing index. I am curious to know whether or not there have been discussions with the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities to see about getting these rental units where 80%, where a percentage of the units are at 80% of AMI are to be made available as affordable housing. What that process looks like, how long it would take, because clearly one of the most significant benefits to the town outside of potential revenue from any future development of the site or even limited commercial use on the site is to have those all the units, 209 approximately, that more or less, on the SHI. So in terms of the development agreement, it really has to set forth more than a hope and a prayer that those units will be on the SHI. And so I think it's incumbent to find out what steps have been taken and what the actual process is, because it's not a comprehensive permit. So when would those units get on the SHI? When a building permit is issued, when an occupancy permit is issued, what is that process? But back to the actual overlay district, we do need answers to the heritage landscape, the conservation restriction and its duration. And with that said, there is a lot of work to do on that Browns Hill development agreement. So the text is there, but there are tables, and I received an email from Jake, and he said they weren't legible. They're not legible because they're not completed. There are empty spaces there. So the planning board has a number of avenues that it can take to look at the intensity of development on the site. And one of those avenues is floor area ratio, and that might sound familiar because that was a metric that UTIL used with respect to the form-based code and the 3A town center zoning that was just passed on July 14th. But again, the entire planning board has to meet and evaluate those kinds of parameters and see where that leads us in terms of what we're now talking about, the lower campus, the middle campus, and the upper campus, with carve-outs for the heritage landscape and also what we're calling wetlands, or it's just the wetlands surrounding the apartments that are not developable. We're calling them restricted areas because they're wetlands. So with that said, I will just say that we have 2 meetings in September, 2 meetings in October, and 2 meetings in November. And so the timeline here is really tight because of the requisite notices that have to go out for the planning board's public hearing and also for any special town meeting pursuant to Chapter 40A, Section 5. So to me, the later the special town meeting, the better. That gives the planning board more of an opportunity to vet this. And unlike the town center zoning, we don't have a consultant doing the work that we can evaluate and issue a report and recommendation. It is actually the planning board doing the drafting.
So the draft that I have, the 731 draft that we have.
Right.
It's not color, it's not like color code or highlight. It'd be helpful if the comments that you just talked about, the things you're still working on, maybe you could highlight those areas of the bylaw. That's sort of the ones that are.
It's the tables.
Just the tables.
It's the tables. The tables are, the tables 1 and 2 are in draft form. There's 3A, 3B, and 4, and they're really not completed, and they certainly have not been reviewed by the full members of the planning board. Now, the draft that's on the table, that's culled from the original drafts. It really, if you were to examine it closely, tracks a lot of the material that's in the senior housing bylaw and some other town bylaws. So we did not reinvent any wheels here. We went to our other zoning bylaws for guidance as to how to structure this. And back in the day, in 2023, John Whitten also reviewed the much more complex draft that had the option of using illustrative plans. So that's gone, and so now this is a much simpler overlay district, and it does provide some opportunities for commercial development. That hasn't really been finalized, the complete scope of that, how much the seminary could add to its existing buildings without having to obtain a special permit. So all of those items are still a little bit up in the air, open to discussion among the planning board members. And obviously, we would then have to have a public hearing and get input, obviously, from the public. And so we, welcome any input that the select board would have with respect to those types of things. But it is difficult to put it all together and make sure there are no anomalies and that it makes sense in the context of this unique site. Which is actually quite built out in the big scheme of things. I mean, there are a lot of buildings on that campus.
So at one point, Marnie, when we were going back and forth, sort of in circles on this thing, you had reached out and said, well, you guys write the structure. You guys give us the bylaw. How do you want us to, how much of this content is provided from Gordon versus what you guys came up with based on?
Well, we need the agreement on the heritage landscape, and we need to know where their hard stop is. I mean, if they want to get this done by the end of the year, then where are their hard stops? I mean, at what point do they say, as property owners, we don't agree to this? Because obviously, that Gordon Conwell all along has had the opportunity with the signature of 10 citizens to develop its own zoning bylaw and bring that to the town with the planning board making a report and recommendation. But what we don't want to do is begin the drafting process like we did before and then find out that it was for naught and that there was no fundamental agreement about the development agreement, about the overlay district, let alone the absence of a development agreement. So I think we need to work together, the planning board and the select board work together and get that development agreement done. Because that might be where the hard stop is. I can't answer that. I mean, that's the seminary who has to speak to that.
And we're going to give Marilyn a second to speak, but let's just throw one thing out there. If we were going to have a special fall town meeting, the only dates that currently work for the town are basically December 2nd and December 9th. So it's really based on,
or November
well,
22nd.
no, that doesn't work. September, so it's basically December 2nd and December 9th. So that's what we're working against. So it'd be 1 o'clock, and we just said that there's a date, those are the only dates that work for the town, based on the calendars of town events, right? So if those days don't work, then it gets really hard to do anything, so.
Well, actually, what then would have to happen, and Joe would, if he would do this, I can't do this while I'm speaking to you right now. He has to back out the notice period. I mean, there's a 14-day notice period for the special town meeting. We have to have notice period for our public hearing. And then there's the time period where the select board has to finalize the warrant. The warrant has to be published. So if you take the December 9th date, he has to, back that out and tell us when the last public hearing is, when we would have to have a final document.
I can't figure that out until I know what the date is.
Well, the later the better, December 9th.
Let's just do a theoretical map.
Pencil in the 12/9, right?
Okay.
So that's the latest we could do. Without people doing it before the end of the year, which is so. Before we let Marilyn speak,
And have that ready for you for the next meeting.
what else, other questions you want Marilyn to answer?
I said, it would be good to have a joint meeting with Gordon Conwell and the select board members to discuss the development agreement in more detail.
Is that just based on where you all are?
We did a draft right now
Drafts.
that we've worked on pretty hard and have substantial comments, and
Yeah.
so we could start with that as a framework for the
Yes,
discussion.
yes,
but-
yes,
And
of
does it
course.
feel appropriate just based on where we are to have that as an executive session or as a?
No,
No, that would
Subcommittee
be
would
the
be two
subcommittee.
members, myself, council, and Conwell's
That's
representative.
it.
And then we
Not
would
rest.
bring it back to
Yeah.
the entire select board and public.
Right, but in the meantime, you have got to inform the planning board about the items that I mentioned, and that's the heritage landscape. And I have to say that the planning board is adamant about that. I mean, it makes sense from a planning perspective because that is the landscape that was identified in the Essex County Historic Survey that was done in 2005. It is an area where there are steep slopes. It is an area where it would be unlikely to see any new buildings because of those steep slopes. And the location now where the conservation restriction is in the draft development agreement is in an area where if there were to be any new construction on that site, and I'm thinking like a river bend or senior housing, 55 plus housing, that portion of the site would lend itself to that type of residential / commercial development. Whereas the top of the hill presents much more complicated scenarios because of the existing buildings and their limited potential for reuse at this point in time, given the market, the real estate market as we know it today.
So Marilyn, making a list of things that have come up today, we'd love to hear you speak to the timing and why it's important it gets done and what you guys are wanting to do. Number two is understand, I know you just got the recent drafts, not too far ago, but did you, the heritage site, and then I think somebody asked a question about the affordable housing, about how far you're down that process. So yeah, it'd be good to hear you talk about those 4 things to start with.
Sure. Thanks, Mr. Chair. Yeah, well, this has been helpful. At first, we'd like to thank the planning board and particularly the chair for their work. They've had an exceptionally busy few months here with other things going on, and nonetheless, we were able to come back and do this work for the town, obviously. So we're thankful for it. We haven't had a chance to digest it closely yet. Obviously, we've been through it. I do think that there's a lot of room that we can work with. We're optimistic about this. So we just need to sit down and go through it and get a full sense of what the planning board is looking for, because they have made some changes to it. So I think that what you're trying to do here, Mr. Chair, is right, and Madam Chair of the Planning Board, I think putting a deadline is key, just because we've been at this so long. Then it'll force us all to get it done. And so you just tell us when you need our comments back. We'll get those back to you when you need them back.
Tomorrow. So, but we need them ASAP. It isn't a week or 2 weeks. I mean, this schedule is so tight for the planning board that I jest when I say tomorrow, maybe the next day. It's that critical that we find out where you stand on this, because we can't go through round 2. The rubber has to meet the road, and at some point, this is, as I said, what's your hard stop? Because the planning board has to run with this, and they can't be going back and forth. It just doesn't work that way. It's too complicated a document with too many things to consider, not just definitions. We haven't even looked at them. I mean, there's so many intricate pieces to this proofreading. I mean, it all takes a lot of time. You know, and I know as a lawyer, it's one thing to get the big picture. And as John Witten always says, the devil is in the details. I mean, that's just go-to phrase.
Yeah, no, we can get it to you quickly. And a comment about the development agreement and the zoning bylaw really work together. And so we have, and there's probably going to be, to get them to now harmonize is going to take a little bit of work, because what we presented was based on the two being together, and now this is a little bit of a different overlay. But I think we can get there. We just need to kind of look at that. So I don't know that we can do it sequentially. I think, Madam Chair of the Planning Board, you've earlier said, you need to get these things together. So,
yes, because my understanding of the way it works is that development agreement has to be, in a sense, an exhibit to the overlay district. Because although the development agreement may not be actually executed until the overlay district is adopted, it has to be ironclad that it will be.
Right. Yeah, it's dependent on that. And and the seminary is willing to concede on, I think, the planning board's direction now of moving toward a heritage landscape. We want to look at it carefully instead of the restriction on the green space down below. That seems wise, that the planning board's focused in that direction. So yeah, we just need to look at it a little more closely, and we can turn around on those. I think at this point, what it probably makes sense is for us to get a turn to the planning board, and then the select board look at that once it comes out to tighten up the development agreement. And we might have some comments, Mr. Chair, on the development agreement based on what's happening with the overlay district. And we'll get those to you. We'd like to get them to you together, and then we can move forward. I agree with Ms. Kennedy that we should, a joint meeting we're ready to meet. I think that would be helpful just to get things moving.
Well, if I may suggest, because these documents are so related, I think it may be beneficial to keep that a kind of a small group, non-quorum of planning board and select board members to be together at the meetings so that we can eliminate the kind of delay that ensues by exchanging information after the fact. I mean, if we're all present, then the problems can be identified at that meeting instead of after the meeting requiring another meeting and delaying the whole process before the planning board, because the planning board's process is a whole lot more time consuming than just drafting a contract.
Right. We're amenable to that, absolutely.
It's 114 days away, December 9th, but there's only 6 meetings, right? So 114 days will go very quick. We only have 6 scheduled open meetings. We can schedule additional meetings. Right now, there's two per month for 3 months, right? For each board. So we got a lot of work to do. But yeah, Rosemary and myself will remain on that subcommittee. So we'll have 2 representatives from the select board until we bring it back to a public meeting, public hearing.
Right. And as you know, Emil is invaluable with his ideas and his experience with respect to these types of things, especially in completing the tables. But again, we have a board that has to weigh in on these things as well. It's a little bit different with respect to the development agreement because it's a much shorter document, and it is a contract, but the overlay district has to mesh with all the other bylaws, and we have to make sure there are no inconsistencies and references and that type of stuff. So it takes some time.
Marilyn, any comment on the affordable housing aspect of the 109 units at this point? Any news you can give us?
209.
Sure. Yeah, so there's really at least 2 pieces to that. One of the things that the seminary has put out there as a potential concession is to eliminate 40B on the entire site. That would be in the development agreement. So that's obviously a significant concession on part of the seminary. Tied to that is the seminary's willingness to participate in however we can to assist the town, but it really is the town's role, as I understand it, to to apply to try to get all 209 to count to the inventory. So it's not something that we can do, but, and I'm happy to be corrected on that. I don't know if Attorney Witten's on this call today. I'm not sure that he is. But and maybe town manager knows more. But our understanding is that really the seminary can cooperate and is willing to cooperate. But at the end of the day, it's going to be the town. So it's nothing that we can guarantee. It's something that needs to come from the state. But we're fully supportive of having all 209 count toward the inventory.
Joe, I know you want to say something.
I was just going to say, echo what Marnie and everybody else has said about the timeline. Remember, the quicker the seminary can get us your responses to the documents that were sent to you last week, the quicker we can schedule a negotiation session for the development agreement, and the select board can set a date for the meeting, to have a special town meeting. That's going to be your deadline. But it's not like you have until December 9th. We need to get other things done by mid-September in order to be able to go forward with the December 9th meeting. So you don't have any time. We're running out of time now.
So Joe, you'll put together a sort of a full plan schedule, what it looks like.
I'll also reach out to EOHLC through Mark Connors. We're trying something that's never really been done before, which is to convert pre-existing housing to affordable and have it all count. So we'll have to have our people who know the state best talk to the state about how to go about doing that. Normally, it just gets considered as part of the whole application, usually through a 40B or through some other mechanism to create affordable housing. This is going to be a little different because it always happens when you're building it. This is already built, so it's a different process for us.
But I'll just add the comment that the 59 Willow Street was not a 40B either. It was
Right, but it's allowable under the way it was used and the grant monies that were used to build it. So that was, as it was applied to for the state,
Right.
Because
Right.
it was a new build construction
Right.
project. So we just have
Right.
to confirm with the state that they're going to accept our request. And
right, and we don't know what financing mechanism the new owners intend to use.
do not.
Right, I'm just making the comment, so that it
There's
may.
probably a local initiative program, Rosie,
Exactly.
would be the way to go, but how that actually would play out in this context, I'm not sure. You'd have to talk with the EOHLC.
Right, Joe's going to do that. Right, exactly. That, I believe some version of that is what the Willow Street project was. Perhaps Mr. Mitchell could enlighten us about that. If that's all right, Mr. Chair?
Well,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
Well, are you operating under your new public comment rules?
We're gonna do that next meeting, so.
Oh, but you've already adopted them, so. No, I know, I'm just kidding.
You better be brief or I'm in trouble.
Yeah. So it was the private developer who applied for the SHI the designation, and I believe it would be the same here.
Right. That was my recollection. I just needed
So
it to
Joe,
be
you can help
refreshed.
Get that moving if the town's responsible to do that, so we're not holding up the process.
Yeah.
All right, so, and then with public comment now, I see abutters, we've gotten emails from abutters. We need their feedback, right? So come to next meeting, write emails, but let us know what your concerns are. Joe, has a draft been put out there?
The materials in the packet have been
Okay.
shared, both in the packet, but with the develop. And I think that there was an issue with the way it was recorded, because some of the pages got skipped in the scanning. So I'll resubmit that to both to the website and to the abutters this week.
Are you inviting abutters comments now?
No, you could have spoken earlier tonight, but but next week, come to the next meeting and speak, please.
Marnie, you mentioned kind of just the amount of like checking and work. It sounds like we're not having to do the drafting of any of this documentation, just so I understand it. That this development agreement and the overlay district, the drafting of that is being done. Did I hear that
Well, so
correctly?
let me
That's
throw
why I
let
wanted
me-
to
let me throw it a
clarify.
di- let me
And I
throw it
want
a
to make sure,
different
my
way.
question is like, we're talking about getting this all basically top and tail in about 3 to 4 weeks from now, by the sounds of it. And does Marnie have the resources that she needs to get that done? So that's where I would like to clarify, but I also want to make sure that it's like, there's not, however many pages and edits and changes land on their desk, but they don't have the resources to be able to respond in a timely fashion, just given the nature of how long we're gonna live with this.
So the overlay district is responsibility of the planning board.
Okay.
And however they get to that draft, whether they work with Merowyn or work with the seminary, that's what they've chosen to do, right? Development agreement is on the select board, but we've leaned on the planning board to help us and leaned on the seminary, because we're going nowhere, we're going in circles. It says, you put it on paper and then we'll comment on it.
Okay.
So it's kind of where we're at now. So it's gone back and forth. So yes, the members of the select board have been involved with the draft of the development agreement.
And so my question is, like, add a finer point on it, if the overlay district, like, are they drawing this, the one that's in this packet, for example, or are they the ones drafting and drawing this?
Yeah, the planning board has, the draft that I did, that has the date on it, 7/31/25, that's culled from prior iterations of the Browns Hill Overlay District. But with all that said, we would still, as a planning board, feel most comfortable once we have it finalized, in quotes, to have that run by either town council or John Whitten to make sure, as a double check, that there's nothing in there that would be a red flag for the Attorney General to refuse to approve it within the statutory period after it were to be if it were to be adopted at a special town meeting. So that's just something that is, it makes sense to do. I mean, you just don't take a document to town meeting without having it run by town council or John Whitten for any kind of inadvertent errors.
And just so you know, Attorney Whitten, we have been working with regarding the development agreement for some time now, so.
So next steps are tomorrow, or the next day, we're gonna get comments back from Merowyn and his team to the planning board. Please copy planning board, select board, and Joe on those comments, just so we all can get them at the same time. We're gonna continue to have this on our agenda for the select board, so people can come and comment over the next weeks and months. And then we'll meet as a subcommittee to finalize the agreement, and then Joe's gonna send out, if indeed we think we can put this thing on if it's in the seminary's best interest to have this on December 9th, they're willing to make some concessions that helps the town out, then we need to look at, make sure the schedule works. So Joe, you're gonna put together a schedule, and then you're also gonna reach out to look at the, what the town's required to do to apply for, recognize these units as affordable housing. What else are we gonna work on?
Is there any sort of a financial analysis that needs to be sort of teed up in the background in terms of their specific inputs that they'll need, or?
I think the only finance situation is just that it was based on the public comment we got tonight about the funds that they're going to turn over to the town in terms of the development agreement, whether we think that's equitable and what options we have, so we can look at that.
And then in terms of looking at the future revenue as well.
I mean, that, we could have our FinCom look at that. He's
Yeah.
pretty good at running a 5-10 year plan and look at what that looks like.
Yeah.
So we can ask FinCom to sort of run that out for us.
FinCom would normally review anything that's going before town meeting anyway, so.
Is there anyone who can look at that kind of economic, more of the valuation aspect that was raised in public comment today, or?
I mean, we're not gonna hire an assessor to look at the property, but we can ask the seminary if they have had that updated since that report was done a few years ago.
Okay.
So they're not selling the top of the, right, so the value to it would be when they sell it, not when they just maintain it, so.
Yep.
Mayor, anything else? Those comments make sense to you? You in agreement?
That's great. We will not be the rate determining step. We'll get our stuff back so that Madam Chair can do her work. And we'll look forward to getting it done and getting the property on the tax rolls at the end of the day. That's the benefit, one of the great benefits to the town.
Joe, anything else?
I don't have
Is there anything else we didn't talk about, we need to talk about?
No, I think we're good.
Okay, all right.
And if I may, the seminary is always open to hearing from any of the abutters. I trust they know that, and many have reached out. So we're open for any comments that they want to direct to us. And obviously, I know the town is, but we don't have open meeting law questions. You can contact me or the president, and so we invite that.
You want to just read off your email real quick for people who don't know it?
There's just the letter M at waltlaw, WALTLAW.com.
All right. Thank you, Merwin.
Thanks very much, Mr. Chair.
Good night.
Thank you, Marnie.
Thank you, Marty.
Did you want to speak to me?
No, I just want to say thank you for joining. It was helpful.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you, Marnie.
And we'll coordinate through Joe a joint, or not really a joint meeting, but a subcommittee meeting, and then a future joint meeting.
Okay.
All right, so we have new business. Obviously, Joe, we want to obviously keep this.
I'm going to jump off, so thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
So, Joe, that's the only reason we'd have a fall.
It's the only reason we'd have a
We have
town-
nothing else to.
We have no other reason to have a fall town meeting.
Okay. So it'd be good to see if they could help fund the cost of that too, as part of the development
I've already
agreement.
directed Mr. Witten to ask for that as part of the updates to the development agreement, so.
When would we have to decide that we're absolutely going to hold this special town meeting? I mean, we've
Yeah, we
picked
do
a
this-
tentative
So-
date tonight.
So I could normally say that we could probably pull off a special town meeting most of the time with about a 2-month window. But with the zoning overlay district needing to go through a public hearing process, and that requires several successive weeks of being publicly advertised. If you don't agree to set a date firmly on the September 8th meeting, I doubt very seriously we could get it done by December 9th. We just will run out of time.
Okay.
So,
So we need to be pretty serious about our negotiations. Okay.
Well, if we set the meeting.
you can set the
and
meeting
we
and
could
continue
cancel the meeting,
negotiations.
And we could cancel the meeting if we don't
You can
get
always
there.
cancel the meeting, but
Right.
exactly. You can set the meeting, set the schedule, tell
But if
everybody
we
what their
don't get there-
deadlines are.
Right, if we don't get there, then we don't get there.
But if we don't get there because we're unable to reach agreement, you just cancel the meeting at a future.
Okay. Yep, thank you.
All right, so once again, I welcome the public to continue to give us their comments now that we have sort of a draft agreement in place and we have a timeline, and that'll be good to hear from the public. So our next meeting is
September 8th.
September 8th. Okay. What else for new business, Joe, anything?
I don't have anything for new business in this meeting.
There's nothing to sign? Okay.
Nothing to say. That never happens.
I know. May I?
Sure.
Sure, I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.